It's time for us to preview week 3 in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. As I said, we are ready here to look at week 3. Week 2 is coming to an end in the NBA. We're looking at how the schedule looks, streaming ideas, back-to-backs, who might rest, players to add on certain days, players to sit, players to start, that sort of stuff. You know how these weekly shows go, so let's talk about it right now. And in week 3 in the NBA, the vast majority of teams play 20... No, they don't. They don't play 22. 22 teams play 4 games. That's a better start to the show. So the vast majority play 4 games this week. 8 teams play 3 games. So that means if you're in a weekly league, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, that with so many teams playing 4 games, those players who have 3 game weeks, there's going to be some hard decisions in terms of who you want to start and who you want to sit. The teams that play the 3 games this week, Dallas. Now, in that scenario, you're starting Luka Doncic. Portland, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. I reckon you have to make a call on Nurkic. I think I probably would, but I can understand not doing it. The Pelicans, you start Ingram, and then after that, it gets a little bit iffy. The Hawks, Trae Young is an obvious start there. It's probably John Collins, probably Clint Capella as well. The Suns, they have 3 games. Booker, Paul, Bridges, I think they're all must starts. Probably Ayton, but I'm not certain. Indiana, we're starting Sabonis and Turner and Brogdon, and probably Oladipo there as well. The Memphis Grizzlies have 3 games, so you're looking at Valanciunas and Anderson most likely as the 2 must-start players. And for the Wizards, Bradley Beal, they've got 3 games. Bradley Beal, Tom Bryant, Russ Westbrook, an interesting one because out of those 3 games, the Wizards have 2. Sorry, Russ plays 2 because the Wizards have a back-to-back. So in a weekly league, I am not certain that Russell Westbrook is a must-start player. Anyway, in terms of schedule quirks, the Warriors and the Bucks, all 4 of their games are at home this week, and there are 5 teams that play all games on the road. The Spurs, the Cavs, the Bulls, the Jazz, and the Thunder. They play all of their games on the road for this upcoming week. If we dig a little bit deeper into the schedule to see how it breaks down throughout the week, we've got 9 games on Monday, 5 on Tuesday, 11 games on Wednesday, 5 on Thursday, 10 on Friday, and then an 8 and 8 Saturday and Sunday schedule. The stream days we're looking at here are Tuesday and Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday. They're the days that you're going to have open active roster spots where if you add a guy off the waiver wire, you're going to be able to use him. Now, you might be able to do it on Monday with 9 games. You probably won't be able to do it on Wednesday with 11, and you probably won't be able to do it on Friday with 10. So we're looking at Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday as the days that we are looking to stream for this upcoming week. More stuff on the schedule. The teams we're really looking to stream, and there's quite a few of these around that have a lot of quality games, and by that I mean though they play on the days where it is that low volume, so Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. The Timberwolves, the Spurs, and the Nuggets, all 4 of their games are on the low volume days. So you add a Spurs player, whoever that may be. Now, Derek White should be rostered in all leagues. Keldon Johnson should be rostered in all leagues. But maybe you're going for Rudy Gay. Maybe you're looking at Patty Mills. And if you make an ad of those guys at the start of the week, you'll use 1 waiver acquisition and you'll be able to play them 4 times. You won't need to drop anyone because you add, say the Spurs don't play Monday, so you add Rudy Gay, let's say, on Tuesday. Right, on Wednesday, it's a high volume day, so you don't need to drop him to open up that roster spot. He plays again Thursday. Friday, it's a high volume day when Gay doesn't play. You don't need to drop him. And then he has a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. The other teams that do that are the Timberwolves, who have that same 4-game schedule. So Josh Okogie, Anthony Edwards, Ricky Rubio if he's around, Naz Reid, who should be rostered anyway. Deeper leagues, Jared Vanderbilt, Jarrett Culver as options. There's 4 games for them. And the same goes for the Denver Nuggets. Do you take a flyer on Gary Harris? Michael Porter Jr. is going to be out some of this week, so do you look at Will Barton and add him knowing that you're going to get 4 games out of him? Jermichael Green for deeper leagues, Paul Millsap for 12-team leagues, Monty Morris for 12-team leagues. It's 4 games for the price of 1 acquisition. There are also some teams that have 3 low-volume quality games, the Lakers, the Nets, and the Blazers. And interestingly, the Blazers, all 3 of their games on those low-volume days. The only difference with these guys versus those teams, well, the only difference with Portland versus those teams that have the 4 is they just don't play the back-to-back on the Saturday, Sunday. The Lakers, for example, play Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, but they have one of their games on the Friday, so maybe you don't use that player. They have less appeal as a stream option, but Kyle Kuzma comes into play there. For the Nets, again, there's fewer options, but DeAndre Jordan has some appeal on the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday combination. You just miss out on that Saturday slot for them. But they are the most attractive teams if we're looking at stream options. Back-to-backs, 22 teams have a back-to-back this week. That's a lot of back-to-backs. I think the ones we've got to be watching for, the Clippers, so the Kawhi is going to miss a game most likely. The Sixers have a back-to-back, so we're looking at Joel Embiid. The Nets have a back-to-back, so Kyrie Irving and KD. That's going to give value there for someone like Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot and an increase in value for Karis LeVert. The Pistons have a back-to-back, so Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin are in danger. The Suns have a back-to-back. Now, I mentioned that just to see what happens with Chris Paul, but he played their first back-to-back, so that shouldn't be a problem. The Wizards have a back-to-back, like I mentioned, making Russ almost an impossible start in a weekly league. And the Lakers have a back-to-back. We saw Anthony Davis sit out with a calf issue last time they had a back-to-back. Let's see if anything like that goes down for the Lakers this time. If we're looking at Tuesday as a stream day, the players I'm looking to stream, and this will change during the week, and maybe I'll do it on the daily recap shows, just at the end of the show. Hey, here are some stream options for the next day. Would people like that? Please let me know. DeAnthony Melton, Derek Jones Jr., and Gary Trent Jr., if he is healthy and ready to play, and Ivica Zubac look like they could be interesting Tuesday streams. On Thursday, it's Melton again, along with Dorian Finney-Smith, Gary Trent Jr., and Derek Jones Jr. on Thursday. These are just the one-day streams, nothing to do with what I was talking about before in terms of those players you can add for 4 games. This is a Saturday stream, but it's a one where you can add guys on the Saturday for players that play both the Saturday and Sunday, so a 2-for-1. Josh Okogie, who I already mentioned, Kelly Olynyk, who looks really good for the Heat, and I'd be adding him in 14 leagues regardless. Gary Harris and Rudy Gay. So a few of those I already mentioned in those 4 quality game weeks for the Spurs, the Wolves, and the Nuggets. If you're looking at just individually on Saturday, Justin Holiday, Finney-Smith, and Maxi Kleber from the Dallas Mavericks, and Shake Milton. And if we're looking exclusively at a Sunday stream, it's Vanilla Tice, it's Ivica Zubac, Royce O'Neal, and PJ Tucker. Now, they're not the most sexiest of names, but they do have fantasy value on that Sunday where there's only the 8 games on. In weekly leagues, players that we're looking to add that could have some value who are rostered in under 50% of the advanced leagues. Daniel Tice, it's not high value necessarily for Tice, but with 4 games on, he could slide into your best 10 players. Same goes with Royce O'Neal in Utah. He could, he's not a great option, but maybe he slides ahead of someone that is only playing the 3 games, and you're talking about maybe that's Cam Reddish for the Hawks. Maybe it's Eric Bledsoe for the Pelicans. Maybe O'Neal's 4 games are better. Isaac Okoro, we assume he's going to be returning to action, so he's an option there. And PJ Tucker as well is someone who's available in a lot of leagues who might have value in this weekly format. In points leagues for weekly formats, Josh Jackson's still available in way too many. You're adding him. Alec Burks is still available in way too many. You add him. Bismack Biyombo and Alfred Payton, not only do they have good schedules, but they should be rostered in all formats anyway, but they are available in a lot of points leagues at this point. Players that we look to sit for this week. Now, I already mentioned Russell Westbrook as an option, but I think someone like Rui Hachimura with only 3 games on, and he's not that good, he's a guy I'd be looking to sit down. You know what I think about Hassan Whiteside. I think DeAndre Hunter with only 3 games is someone I'd be sitting this week. He's been a really popular ad, but the shooting's going to fall off, and with only 3 games, and maybe Danilo Gallinari returning, there's some issues there. And I'm putting Enes Kanter in there because so many people have added Enes Kanter. His roster percentage is up over 80%, which is nonsense. He should not be started in a 3-game week where he might get 50 minutes total. Maybe he gets 60 minutes total over those 3 games. You can do better than that. In points leagues, we're sitting Hassan Whiteside. We're definitely sitting Davis Bertans. I reckon you could consider him a sit in a category league as well. We're sitting Danilo Gallinari of the Atlanta Hawks and his teammate, I think, in a points league, Bogdan Bogdanovic, with only the 3 games and with uncertain roles and performances. I'm not certain that he's a must-start in a weekly points league format. Last thing I wanted to look at is the deeper leagues, 14 to 16 team leagues. Players that you can have a look at who might be of use for you this week. Danny Green, Isaac Okoro, I mentioned already. Now, Green is a really low volume guy, but he gets those steals and blocks, which are valuable. His teammate, Shake Milton, has some value, I think, for this week. And then onto the Nets, it's Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot. As I mentioned, there is that one game that KD and Kyrie are probably going to sit. And that's going to boost Luwawu-Cabarrot's value extremely in that one game. And then he's got 3 others during the week to do at least something. But we're talking 14 to 16 team leagues here for Luwawu-Cabarrot. These are players who are rostered in under 20% of leagues who might be able to provide you some of that value that you're looking for in that sort of format. That'll do it for me today in the Week 3 preview. I will be back later on to do a what to watch for Sunday. I'll also then tomorrow do a full waiver wire show and then back into the pregame show and then also back into the daily recaps for Sunday's action. Guys, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on YouTube. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.